Okay, having a look at some surveying and sampling and some of the words that are involved with that. So when we talk about a survey, we're collecting information about a large group, but we're only using a small sample. If we talk about a census, that's where we're getting that information about the large group, but we're asking everybody in the group for the data. So you might have heard of when there's been a census in Australia and everyone has been asked to fill out questions and answer questions, and whoever's in the house that census day answers those questions. When we get our information, our data is the accuracy of it is going to be affected by our sample size. So if we take a big sample, we're going to get a better idea of the information than if we take a small sample. Also, if there's any sample bias. So if we're trying to do a survey and we're getting a sample, but it isn't a sample of the entire population, that can affect our answers. So if you were trying to get some information about how much study students do at school and you only sampled grade 7s, you're not going to get an idea of the whole school, because obviously a grade 12 student is going to do a lot more study than a grade 7 student. The same way if you were sampling, if you're trying to get some information about how much people spend at the tuck shop, and you only sampled the grade 12s, you might get a different amount, like a different idea of the data than if you sampled the sum from each of the grades and the same percentage of each of the grades that appear in the population. So that's what we're talking about, sample bias. We also talk about the location that a sample might be taken. So if you were looking at my favourite one example is always if you're trying to get some information about what percentage of vegetarians there are in the population, you don't go to a bacon festival. So thinking about where you're collecting your data, how you're collecting the data can affect your accuracy. And the other one might be measurement errors in the way that you have collected the data. We can also talk about what we get with our data. So if we have symmetrical data, it's going to look like it is symmetrical about the middle of the data. So it's smaller, so it starts small, getting bigger, and we call that a bell curve type of data. It might be skewed where you have a lot more of data down the bottom or a lot more at the top than there is in the middle. And we also can look at bimodal. So our mode is the one that occurs the most. Here we've got two columns that are the same height. So they are both occurring the same number of times, which means we've got two modes in that set of data. Now in the next video, I'm going to look at two-step experiments and how we can set up some tables to analyse that.